Today's talk is the biggest deterrents for women to become leaders. Do you ever wonder if you have what it takes to be a senior leader? Or if you're fit to be an executive? At the end of multiple talks on the biggest deterrents for women to become leaders, you'll know that you live in a world where women are regularly reminded that they are subordinates, not leaders. This alone creates a jumbo, multifaceted barrier for women to be seen as leaders. What's not a barrier is women are more than equal to the task of leading at any level. However, they must gain an awareness to the underlying drivers of doubt and subordination. The interrelationship between patriarchal societies, gender stereotypes, and unconscious bias are the primary culprits for why women are seen as subordinates and why they doubt their ability to lead. So that's patriarchy, gender stereotypes, and unconscious bias. Let's start with the basic foundation of society. It's patriarchal. 19th century Australian suffragette Louisa Lawson said, "Men govern the world and the schemes upon which all of our institutions are founded show men's thoughts only." This is as true today as it was back then, and it's as true in Australia as it is in any country, because patriarchal societies continue to dominate all four corners of the globe. Men dominate the institutions of government, the private sector, religion, and the institution called home. Patriarchal societies are the root of what holds women back. Now, right this minute, some of you are arching your eyebrows because you see patriarchy as some outdated term created by boomers to explain something that no longer exists. Okay, let's take a look at the data. 94% of heads of government are male. So are 80% of legislators. The CEOs of 93% of Fortune 500 and 95% of top European firms are men. In religious institutions, men overwhelmingly dominate positions of leadership. At home, men dominate households even when their wives are the breadwinners. Still think it's an outdated term? Developed centuries ago with agreement between men and women, patriarchal societies prescribed roles and behaviors that made men dominant over institutions and women. They formed the foundation of widely held beliefs about men and women that are called gender stereotypes. I suspect some of you are again arching your eyebrows, another outdated term invented by boomers like me. I mean, after all, stereotypes are overly generalized beliefs that fade over time. Normally, yes, but gender stereotypes are different. These are descriptive and prescriptive. The prescription has been and continues to be enforced at home, in school, at work, in church, in the media, and by governments. That's a big problem. Let's take a brief look at how gender stereotypes are perpetuated. At home, boys learn that they are the protectors, and girls learn that they need to be protected by boys. Girls start school more developmentally advanced. When they graduate high school, they have lower confidence and self-esteem. More women than men aspire to top management when graduating from college. After a couple of years in the workforce, women are half as likely as men to aspire to top management. While women question their fit, men do not. Males and females attending religious services hear sermons all the time where women are subordinates. Does anyone object? In the media, women are more often shown in the kitchen, shopping, or cleaning, while men are more often shown working, driving, or attending sports. Governments make and enforce laws. In a quarter of countries, there are no laws against domestic violence. Where laws exist, enforcement is spotty and convictions rare. High levels of domestic violence exist everywhere. It's a convincing way for men to reinforce dominance. Females that behave outside the established female stereotypes can expect unconscious bias. A woman as a breadwinner, which is becoming increasingly common, is behaving outside the female stereotype. Women that contribute 67% or more of money to household income have been found to experience a 700% increase in domestic violence. Now, violence is an extreme form of unconscious bias. Most are more subtle. Let's take a look at a few subtle manifestations. A study published in the New York Times in 2018 found that daughters on average spend 45 minutes a week doing chores. Sons spent on average 30. Parents paid boys 51% more allowance. Men and women are seen as equally competent as senior leaders, but 93% of Fortune 500 executives, CEOs, are men. Why? Hint, hint, it's not competence. Candidate Donald Trump earned a reputation for offending people, but Hillary Clinton's unlikability was considered a fatal flaw. In the media, beautiful, sexually objectified women are teamed up with powerful, but average-looking men. In case some of you are still skeptical about unconscious bias, here is a compelling statistic. According to a 2019 UN Human Development Report, more than half of the world's people have a high-intensity bias against gender equality and women's empowerment. Just 14% of women and 10% of men show no bias against women. Let me ask you, what percent of people do you think would admit to having a bias against women? And take a second to think about it. Did you guess 86 to 90%? That's the point. Almost all people, quite possibly including viewers of this video, are unconsciously biased against women in positions of power. People see men holding positions of power, not women. This talk introduced you to three interrelated concepts that are at the root of why there are so few senior women leaders. Patriarchy, gender stereotypes, and unconscious bias against women. If you were skeptical about their impacts at the beginning, I hope this is no longer true. Unconscious bias is the primary reason women are underrepresented in senior leadership. It will be a rare woman that discounts the impact of this trio can have on her career that rises to the top and stays there. Next week, we're going to do a deeper dive into the trio. Gaining an awareness to the trio is key to becoming a senior leader. Thank you.